My wife expected me to support her dreams, supported them for 10 years while she mocked mine every day. The laugh comes out of her mouth sharp and easy, like she's done it 1,000 times, and everyone at the table joins in because they think it's a joke. My wife reaches across the restaurant table, pats my hand like I'm a golden retriever who finally sat on command, and says, "Babe, don't start with your little business idea again. Tonight is about my promotion." Her nails click against my knuckles. Her smile is bright. Her eyes are cold. I feel my face go hot anyway, like my body didn't get the memo that I'm supposed to take it. I'm still holding my fork. It's hovering over a plate I haven't touched. The waiter is standing nearby with a bottle of wine, waiting for someone to nod. Her friends, our friends, technically, are watching me like I'm the entertainment between courses. I can hear the clink of ice behind the bar, the hum of conversation, someone's chair scraping the floor. My wife tilts her head and adds, "Lighter, right? Like he wants to open some workshop thing." It's adorable. Adorable. That word lands right on my chest. I swallow, and my throat hurts like I just try to choke down something jagged. I can feel my pulse in my ears. My hands are shaking under the table, and I'm trying to keep my voice steady because if I snap, she'll make me the problem in front of everyone. It was a Tuesday night, 10 years into our marriage, when I finally understood that I had been living in a slow, steady erasure. Not the dramatic kind where someone screams, "You can't do anything right every day," though, honestly, she had her moments, but the constant little cuts, the jokes, the eye rolls, the sighs. The way she'd ask me a question and then talk over my answer like she was swatting away a fly. I didn't marry a monster. I married a woman who learned exactly how to keep her hands clean while making me feel small. When we met, she was all ambition and charm. She had a vision board before it was cool. She talked about graduate school like it was already done. She talked about travel like she'd already been. She could walk into a room and make people lean toward her without even trying. I was working a steady job and saving money and quietly sketching plans for a small woodworking studio. Nothing flashy, just a space where I could build custom furniture and restore old pieces, maybe teach weekend classes. I'd grown up watching my grandfather make tables from scraps and thought, stupidly, that making something with your hands was a kind of peace. In the beginning, my wife said she loved that about me. "You're grounded," she told me. "You're not like those guys who just talk." When I told her about the studio idea, she kissed me and said, "I can totally see you doing that." She made it sound inevitable. She made me believe her. Then life happened the way it always does. We got married. Rent went up. Her grad program acceptance came in. The tuition number looked like a punch to the face. She cried at the kitchen table, mascara streaking, talking about how this was her chance, how she couldn't let it slip away. I said, without hesitation, "We'll figure it out." I meant it. I loved her. That's what you do when you love someone, right? You step up. I took extra shifts. I said yes to overtime. I stopped buying anything that wasn't necessary. I sold my guitar because it was just sitting there anyway. I put my dream in a box that I told myself I'd open later. While she was in school, she called me between classes to complain about professors, about group projects, about classmates who didn't take it seriously. I'd listen, nodding even when she couldn't see me. I'd pack her lunches. I'd edit her papers late at night, even though she said she didn't need help. I'd drive her to campus when her car wouldn't start. And I was proud of her, honestly. I loved watching her succeed. I loved watching her walk across the stage at graduation with that fierce smile, like she'd wrestled the world and won. The first time she mocked me about my dream, it was so small I almost missed it. We were at a friend's housewarming party. Someone asked what I wanted to do long term, and I said, casually, "I've always wanted to open a small woodworking studio." My wife laughed and said, "He's been saying that since college." She said it with this tone like I'd been talking about becoming an astronaut. People laughed politely. Someone said, "That's cool, though." My wife sipped her drink and added, "Sure, if we win the lottery." I remember feeling embarrassed, but I told myself it was nothing. She was stressed. She was tired. She was joking. I kept telling myself that for years. After she graduated, she wanted to pivot. She didn't want to do the entry-level job in her field. She wanted something worth her brain. She wanted a certification. Then she wanted another. Then she wanted to start a side business consulting. Each time, I backed her. Each time, I told myself we were investing in our future. Each time, my dream got pushed back one more year, one more season, one more after this. And every time I tried to bring it up, carefully, softly, like I was approaching a wild animal, she'd do the same thing. She'd make it sound silly. You want to what? Rent a space? With what money? It's not realistic. You're being impulsive. You should be grateful you have a stable job. Not everyone gets to play with hobbies for a living. Hobbies? Like I was a kid asking for a toy. The part that messed with my head the most was that she didn't always say it cruelly. Sometimes she said it like she was protecting us. Like she was the adult in the room. Like she was doing me a favor by keeping my feet on the ground. Meanwhile, when she wanted something, it became a family mission. When she decided she wanted to switch careers entirely, she announced it over dinner like she was presenting a TED Talk. "I'm not fulfilled," she said. "I need to do something meaningful." I asked what she meant, and she gave me this look like I was slow. "You wouldn't get it," she said, "but I'm going back to school." I stared at my plate. My stomach tightened. We just paid off the last of her previous loans. We'd finally started building savings again. I opened my mouth to ask, "Can we talk about the finances?" And she cut me off. "Don't be unsupportive," she said immediately. "I supported you when you wanted to." And then she paused because she couldn't name a single concrete way she'd supported me. So she finished with, "When you had all those phases." Phases. Like my dreams were mood swings. I remember saying, "Okay," because that's what I always said. And then I sat in the bathroom later and stared at myself in the mirror, trying to figure out why I felt like I was disappearing. At some point, I started doing math in my head all the time. Not even money math, life math. How many hours I worked. How many hours I spent cleaning, cooking, running errands, being her emotional dumping ground. How many hours she spent telling me about her vision, and how few she spent asking about my day. I started noticing how the house felt quieter when she wasn't home. Not peaceful, quiet like I could breathe. There were moments that should have been my breaking point, but I kept swallowing them. Like the night I came home excited because I'd found a cheap used table saw on Marketplace. I messaged the seller and set up a time to see it. I was practically buzzing, like I'd found a piece of myself under the couch cushions. I walked into the kitchen and said, "Hey, I found a saw," and my wife didn't even look up from her laptop. "What?" she said, annoyed. "A table saw. It's a good deal. If I can get it, I can start building in the garage more seriously. I've been thinking." She finally looked up, and her face did this thing it always did when she decided I was being inconvenient. "Oh my God," she said. "Are you serious right now?" I blinked. "Yeah, I mean, it's just, we don't need a saw," she snapped. "We need to be saving for the program I'm applying to." "It's $200, I said quietly. "And I'm paying for it." She laughed like I told a joke. "With what money? Our money is our money. And I'm not funding your midlife crisis." Midlife crisis. I was 32. I didn't buy the saw. I texted the seller and apologized. I sat on the couch that night while she typed aggressively and told myself I was being selfish for wanting something. Another time, we were at her parents' house, and her dad asked me what I'd been up to. Before I could answer, my wife said, "He's been watching those woodworking videos again." She said again, like it was a relapse. Her mom laughed. Her dad said, "As long as it keeps him out of trouble." I sat there smiling, feeling like my teeth might crack from how hard I was forcing it. I started therapy because I couldn't sleep, and I was having these weird moments where I'd get in my car after work and just sit there, unable to turn the key, like my body was refusing to go home. I told my wife I want to talk to someone. She said, "Why? So you can complain about me to a stranger?" I said, "No, I just don't feel good." She rolled her eyes. "Don't be dramatic." Classic line. She used it all the time. Therapy was slow. I didn't walk in and say, "My wife is emotionally abusive." I walked in and said, "I feel like I'm failing at life," and my therapist asked questions that made me uncomfortable because they were simple. "Do you feel supported? Do you feel safe sharing your thoughts? Do you feel respected?" I kept trying to justify her. She's under a lot of stress. She's ambitious. She pushes me because she wants the best. And my therapist said, Does it feel like pushing, or does it feel like contempt? That word, contempt, hit me like cold water, because it wasn't just that she didn't support my dreams. It was that she seemed annoyed that I had them at all. Like my wanting anything that didn't serve her was offensive. The restaurant night, the one where she called my dream adorable, was supposed to be a celebration. She'd gotten a big promotion. She'd been talking about it for weeks, practicing how she'd announce it, sending screenshots to group chats, buying a new outfit. I helped. I bought her flowers. I booked the dinner. I told her how proud I was. I meant it. Halfway through the meal, one of her friends asked, "So what's next for you two? Buying a bigger place?" "Kids." My wife answered without looking at me. "We're focusing on my career. He's happy with his job. It's stable." She leaned back and added, like it was a punchline, "He's the sensible one, not the dreamer." I said quietly, "I am a dreamer." She turned to me like I'd interrupted her speech. "You're being weird," she said under her breath. I felt everyone's eyes flick between us, that awkward pause where people don't know if they should pretend they didn't hear. My wife smiled at them and said, "He gets sensitive when he drinks water." They laughed again, and something in me finally snapped, not like rage, but like exhaustion, like my body couldn't keep holding the same position. I put my fork down carefully. I heard myself say, "I've supported your dreams for 10 years. My wife's smile tightened. "Oh my God, not here," she hissed. I didn't get louder. I didn't make a scene. I just kept going because I was suddenly calm in a way I didn't recognize. "I worked overtime for your first degree. I paid off your loans. I moved cities twice for your career moves. I helped you study. I built you up when you were scared. And every time I mention something I care about, you mock it." Her friend across from us blinked hard and stared at her glass. Someone cleared their throat. The waiter still stood there holding the wine bottle like he'd been frozen in time. My wife leaned toward me, her voice like a blade. "You are ruining my night." And without thinking, I said, "You've been ruining my life." Silence. The kind that makes your skin buzz. My wife's eyes flashed. "You're embarrassing me," she said, and the word "me" was the only part that sounded real. I felt my hands stop shaking. I realized I was done being embarrassed. I was done being the punchline. I stood up, pulled my wallet out, put cash on the table to cover my portion, and said, "I'm going home." My wife grabbed my wrist under the table hard enough to hurt. "Sit down," she whispered through her smile. "Don't you dare." I looked at her hand on my wrist and thought of all the times I'd held my own needs like they were contraband. I gently pulled away. "No," I said. "I'm not doing this anymore." I walked out. My heart was pounding so loud I could barely hear the door open behind me. I stood on the sidewalk in the cold air, breathing like I'd just run. My phone buzzed immediately, her name. Again, again, again. I didn't answer. When I got home, I didn't do anything dramatic. I didn't smash a picture frame. I didn't throw her clothes on the lawn. I did something almost worse in her eyes. I made a plan. I took my important documents and put them in a folder. I opened a new bank account on my laptop. I changed my direct deposit the next morning. I made a list of what was mine and what was joint. I booked an appointment with a financial counselor recommended by my therapist. I texted my friend Mark and asked if he had space in his garage for some tools if I needed to store them. My wife came home 2 hours later. She slammed the door so hard the walls rattled. She stormed into the living room in her fancy outfit and said, "What the hell was that?" I stayed seated. My hands were calm. My voice was calm. That was me telling the truth. She threw her purse onto the couch. "You wanted to have a meltdown because I made a joke? You are unbelievable." "It wasn't a joke," I said. "It was a joke," she insisted, like volume could rewrite reality. "You're so sensitive. You always do this. You make everything about you." I stared at her and realized how predictable the script was. Deny, dismiss, attack, make me the problem. "I'm not making it about me," I said. "It's been about you for a decade." Her face shifted, and for a second I saw something like panic. "So what, you're leaving?" she scoffed. "Over this?" I said, "I'm leaving because you don't respect me. You don't like me. You like what I provide." She laughed, but it was strained. "Oh, please. You be nothing without me." That sentence was supposed to break me. It would have a year ago. Instead, it just sounded like proof. I don't want to be married to someone who talks to me like that, I said. She stepped closer, voice dripping with sarcasm. You gonna go build birdhouses and live your little fantasy? The old me would have tried to explain. The old me would have defended the dream so she wouldn't laugh. The old me would have begged for a softer version of her. That night, I just nodded once. Yes, I said. I'm going to live a life where I'm not mocked in my own home. Her eyes narrowed. You're overreacting. There was again. Her favorite spell. I felt the tiredness in my bones, deeper than anger. My therapist says I've been underreacting for years, I said. And I believe her. My wife's face twisted. Of course, she said. So now you're letting some stranger tell you I'm abusive. I stood up slowly. I'm letting myself tell me. I said. Finally. The next few weeks were ugly, but not in the way people assume. There weren't screaming matches every day. There was a lot of icy politeness. A lot of her trying different tactics. First, she acted like I'd come crawling back. Then she acted wounded. Then she got furious. Then she tried to flirt, like that would reset everything. Then she told people I was having a breakdown. She sent my mom a text saying she was worried about my mental state. She told her friends I was unstable and making impulsive decisions. One of them messaged me, gently, asking if I was okay. I almost laughed. Even when she hurt me, she positioned herself as the concerned party. I moved into Mark's spare room for a while. It wasn't glamorous. I slept on a mattress that squeaked when I rolled over. But the first night I was there, I slept through the entire night without waking up with my stomach clenched. People asked me if I missed her, and I did in a weird way. I missed the version of her I met when she still pretended to be impressed by me. I missed the idea of us. I missed having someone to text dumb things to. But I didn't miss the constant bracing. I didn't miss feeling like I needed permission to exist. The divorce process was mostly paperwork and small humiliations. She tried to argue that she deserved more because I held her back by being too stable and not adventurous enough. She told the mediator I was unmotivated. I wanted to scream. I wanted to list every extra shift, every sacrifice, every time I put my dreams away, so hers could breathe. My lawyer, blunt, older woman with no patience for nonsense, looked at the financial statements and said, "You've funded her life." Then she looked at me and added, "Stop apologizing." That was hard. Apologizing was my default. Apologizing was my marriage. A month after I moved out, I bought a used table saw. Not even a fancy one. Just a solid, reliable machine. I set it up in Mark's garage and stood there staring at it like it was sacred. My hands shook when I turned it on. The sound filled the space, loud, alive. I cut a piece of scrap wood and watched the clean line appear, and my eyes burned unexpectedly. It wasn't just about woodworking. It was about choosing myself without being punished for it. I started taking weekend classes at a community workshop. I made a small table. It wobbled. I fixed it. I made another. I started restoring an old chair. I started feeling something I hadn't felt in years, pride that wasn't dependent on someone else's approval. My wife tried to come back, of course, not in a romantic movie way, in a calculated way. She called one night and said, "I've been thinking." I almost didn't answer, but part of me wanted closure. "Okay," I said. She sighed dramatically. I think we both said things. We were stressed, but I'm willing to move past it. Willing, like she was offering me a gift. I said, "Move past what?" "The fight," she said. "The overreaction." There was again. She couldn't even name what she did. She couldn't even step into reality for 2 seconds. I felt this strange calm. "I'm not coming back," I said. There was a pause. Then her tone sharpened. "So that's it? You're throwing away 10 years. I almost laughed, but it came out as a tired breath. "I didn't throw them away," I said. "I used them to learn." "What? That you're a victim," she snapped. "No," I said. "That I don't deserve to be talked to like I'm nothing." Her voice went cold. "You'll regret this." Maybe she thought that line still worked. Maybe she thought fear was the glue that held me to her. "I regret staying as long as I did," I said, and then I hung up. It's been a year now. The divorce is final. I live in a small rental with enough space for a workbench in the corner of the living room. It's not the dream studio yet, but it's mine. I'm building slowly. I sell pieces on weekends. I'm not rich. I'm not viral. But when I make something and someone buys it, they're buying something I chose, something I created, something that came from a part of me I used to hide. Sometimes I still hear her voice in my head, mocking, dismissive, calling my dreams cute. It's quieter now. It fades faster. Therapy helps. Friends help. Silence helps. The biggest change, honestly, is that I stopped believing the story she told me about myself. That I was too sensitive. That I should be grateful for crumbs. That my dreams were childish. That support was something you only deserved if it benefited the other person. I don't know what she tells people now. Probably that I was insecure. Probably that I couldn't handle her success. Probably that I gave up. Let her. I supported her dreams for 10 years. I don't hate her for having dreams. I hate that she used mine as a punchline while standing on a ladder I held steady underneath her. And I hate that I helped her climb while she kicked my hands away whenever I reached up. But I'm done being the ladder. I'm building something else now. Something that doesn't require permission. Something that doesn't shrink when someone laughs. And for the first time in a long time, the life I'm making feels like it actually belongs to me.